Hello, Euge.
Hey.
Hi, everybody. We are joined today by Eugene Risunkov, a dear friend of mine. My Russian accent's not that great, but hopefully I did your last name.
No. It was okay.
It's okay. It's 3 o'clock here in the United States. It's almost 9 o'clock in Kyiv. And so today, Euge has agreed to let me do an interview with him so that everybody can kind of have an understanding of what's happening from a firsthand perspective. So thank you, my friend. So tell us about what's going on where you're located specifically in Kyiv and what you're doing. We know I'll tell people that you have your own company called Mr. Fix-It Agency, and I'm going to let you explain what you do as a fixer.
Okay. I started this agent. Well, it's not like it was not an agency from the beginning, but I was introduced to this kind of activity like in 2014 when the whole drill in the east of Ukraine started. This confrontation that is still going on and that grew into a war, actually. What I mean by fixing, actually, when I started, it was one thing, but now it's much more. It grew. Yeah, because when I started, it was more about like translation, and I didn't feel the difference between like translation and like fixing. I just thought that in media area, translation is called like fixing. Okay, but then I understood that that's much more. Actually, it's not only about translation, it's actually taking care of people who come here. I mean, taking care of such people as Letitia Headings. Sorry, my English accent is not that good, but
you took very good care of us during our 2 weeks in Ukraine for the project. And our experience with you as a fixer was you helped me before we got there, coordinate logistics, set up interviews, so many things before we got there. And then as soon as we were there, you were basically our caretaker. You interpreted, and you speak 4 languages: English, Russian, Ukrainian, and German. And so you had all of that figured out, but you did so much more than that. So being somebody that lives in the country, you were absolutely integral to us functioning as a production team on time, efficiently, and as a result, we've become great friends. So I'm very appreciative. So it's an important role that you do.
The thing is, at some point, we have a motto. I have a page, a Facebook page. I'm not like running like the site, like huge announcements about my activity, because my job is very, narrow. I mean, for narrow,
specific
audience. Yeah, very specific, like very, it's not like I can tell all the world what I'm doing. It's like media guys who need like exact things and stuff like that. But I'm known like in some circles, let's say. And from the very beginning, when I made my like company official and stuff, I understood I was looking for a motto, and because that's like a name for me. I don't know if I stole it from someone, but that was exactly what I felt when doing something like that. And it says like attitude matters. That's our motto. And all the people that I work with, all the people that I hire in order to work with me and stuff like that, the first thing that I explain is actually that's the target all the time. Like when you're working with somebody, it doesn't matter who this is, but when you're using like Mr. Fix Agency, like brand, you have to take care of people as if that's your relative or something like that. I mean, you should take care of a person for him to feel super comfortable with you. That's the thing. And then it became just my credo. I mean, it's super cool when you have this kind of reviews, when you have this kind of words and stuff. I mean, when you are done, of course, it's paid as well. Like we all have like taxes, like and like payments and stuff. But that's not the achievements that really inspire you. Like ladies like Letitia Headings inspire, especially when she says something pleasant like this. What she just said. Yeah.
Well, I have lots of pleasant things to say about you, as you know. And again, like I'm grateful for the friendship and that, we've stayed in touch, and you will come to America and we can't wait to get you to Middle
as a refugee.
maybe we've got a spare bedroom. So
no. Our president, by the way, has just signed the law that men from 18 to 60 are not allowed to leave the country unless they have like 3 kids or something like this.
So you would not be able to leave the country right now?
No. So, maybe later.
So on this is the 20th day of fighting in Ukraine, the unprovoked war by Russia. Tell us what it's been like. But
before.
Well, tell me what it's like where you are right now. You explained to me the other day when we chatted, you're in a hotel, you're in a nice hotel by where the president's main house is. In that hotel, there's many other reporters and news agencies from around the world. So you're able to collaborate and share news, which is a good thing. And I just give us an idea of what your day-to-day is like, and tell us about the curfew and, what the fear is like on a day-to-day basis.
Well, I'm following all the news. That's also my job, like to update my, the guy I'm taking care of, like to update with information and stuff, because he can miss something and stuff. So I am following everyone and everything that has been happening in here and stuff. And I can see and that I was so blessed somehow. I don't know how I deserve that. Why? But I'm in the safest and best place I could ever imagine in these days. Like me personally, it's not about Ukraine. I mean, Ukraine is not in a good time period, let's say. But for me personally, when I went out of my house, on the morning 24th, when it all started, I thought that I'm actually going to some, I call it dragon's ass, but I got used to that. I have some clients who are actually always looking for some dragon ass. They want to get in and make fire over there. That's the job.
Dragons what?
Dragon's ass.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like being in the heart of things, yeah?
Yeah, that's
really like in there.
Hot stuff, somewhere where it will be like the center of everything and stuff like that. So I thought it's gonna be like that, but somehow I was introduced to a Danish team, which were the only team which was left here from Denmark, and they are very cautious. Let's say they are not doing like super hot stuff. Why I'm telling you this, just because yesterday and the day before yesterday, 2 American journalists from different sources were killed. And it was not like, well, it was accidental for sure, but still, I mean, they were going too far. This is not the war that when you can just, go in the middle of the fight and say, I'm a journalista. It's not working. You have to be aware of what's going on. You have to be cautious every second, especially if you go somewhere where like 2 countries are fighting. So we lost 2 American citizens, actually. One was from Times, I guess, another he also worked for New York Times, but now he was a part of Fox News. He was a cameraman, and he died because of the artillery fire. His name was Pierre Zakhrevsky, I guess, or something like that. But the tragedy for me is that I got used. I met that person like a couple of days ago. We were sitting together at the same round table, and we were eating, and he was just 30 centimeters away from me. We were talking. A super pleasant guy, super cool. Yeah, and
so that makes it very real. I mean, more real than it already is. You're out there and you're seeing things, and certainly I'll mention your social media account so people can follow, because I think that really gives an up close and personal, minute by minute idea of what's happening. But so you're in a hotel right now. You're out on the streets collecting stories from 8 to 8. But I think it's interesting what you said the other day when we were chatting, and you said, when you left your house, you didn't know that you weren't going to be able to go back. So give give us an idea of like your
Yeah.
situation, and you haven't been able to go home because the bridges on your side.
Yeah. I will explain. Let me explain. I have this story. The thing is, if you look at the map of Ukraine and in general, like in the map of Kyiv and Ukraine in general, you'll see that we have a huge river cutting like our country into two parts. Like it's called Dnipro. It goes all the way from Belarus to the Black Sea, I guess. I'm not sure, but I think it's a Black Sea. Yeah, and when we're talking about like Ukraine, we are talking like Western Ukraine and Eastern Ukraine. Yeah, well, I mean, and this is the middle, like it cuts into two parts. And the same story is with Kyiv. It cuts like Kyiv into two parts, this river. But the thing is, we are not talking Western Kyiv and Eastern Kyiv. We are talking left bank and right bank. And even though if you look at the map, well, west is actually on the left side and east is actually on the right side. But eastern part of Kyiv we call left bank just because of the river flow. The river goes from the north to south, and that is why, like, I live on the left bank actually, and all the drill, the center, downtown, like, and everything, like our president, parliament, and everything is on the right bank. So the only way to cross the river is actually well, no, not the only way. The only ways are actually 5 outer bridges. Like you can go with metro through over them or with a car. And going out, I didn't expect. Well, that has a logic for sure. If someone wants to encircle sort of the city or something, you would be protecting the bridges for sure. That would be like a strategic point. So I didn't think that they will close bridges so fast. I mean, now bridges are, some bridges, I think they are opening one bridge at a time, like every day. But just imagine, like we had jams all over 5 bridges and now only one bridge is open. And multiply that to the fact that they have tons of checkpoints where everybody should be checked and stuff like that. So that's a huge queue. And surely, like working with some other crew, I mean, I don't have time just to let the guys go and take my personal stuff and go to visit my home and stuff. So I haven't been home since the 24th of February. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I have only 2 underpants, 2 pair of socks, and 1 t-shirt. This is actually the second t-shirt. I happened to buy it like not so long ago. We found one shop in the whole Kyiv. It was Intersport, I guess, or something, and they were selling like t-shirts and stuff. So we bought a bit of something because I had only 1 pair of boots, 1 like pants, underpants, everything. I was not suspecting I was not coming home. I thought that I will have at least one chance to come home and grab my bag and stuff, but I didn't. So I've been living like this for the like 20th days. Yeah. So if I started with the wars, then this is my 20th days in 2 underpants. Well, sorry, my humor. There's a humor in my humor. Yeah, but you know, when you live. By the way, speaking about humor, that sorry, maybe I'm going into a bit different direction. But the thing is, I noticed that last days we started to make sort of smiling pictures, even though we had like a ruined background and stuff. But when we meet someone we didn't meet before, like an whoa, and we're making selfies and we're smiling, and some people do not understand that. And I had a long talk today with my journalists, the guys I work with, that it's not like we don't care about what's happening behind our like backs or something, or it's not like I don't care about Ukraine and I'm making fun like now. No, it's just because your body cannot live all the time like in the stress, and that's like a reaction. You start to make jokes even from your grief, like, you know, you're making jokes out of it just because you
bring some levity.
Yeah, you have to balance sort of. Yeah. So sorry, my humor in case it hurts someone.
Oh, your humor is what makes you so special in times of pressure and stress. I mean, and you've proven that just during these past 20 days as we've been chatting and responses in our conversation the other day. So I think it's vital to have to try and find any kind of levity and to find the humor. And I'm sure you're every day out there making people laugh. So
that's actually a part of my life, because the guys I work with, they're on the same level of humor. We are making fun of like everything. We are surviving just because of that, of this of this feature, because we all like to make fun of everything. We just make fun of policemen, like everything, well, when they don't hear us, but still.
So you were saying that there's 5 bridges, main bridges that come into Kyiv. I remember crossing them, not all of them, but how many of them have been blown up for defense tactics, and how many are they all? Give me an idea of how many are actually still intact.
Kyiv bridges are all in one piece. I mean, they were not blown, nothing. Actually, the main attacks right now are going from the northwest, north and west, this area, and a bit from northeast. Let's say like this. So the bridges over there, like you must have heard like those names like Bucha, Irpin, Gostomel. That's where they're coming from. I mean, that's the main route that they're using in order to sort of infiltrate. Yeah, is it called infiltrate? Like inside the city. So and bridges over there, you must have seen on my Instagram and Facebook. I post like pictures. We were at some bridges over there, like, and they are totally destroyed. Like even people, if they want to leave, they have to go down and cross the river. And they made like different kinds of, I don't know, like boxes, cars and stuff. And you have to jump over like from one obstacle to another and just to get onto the other shore. So it's a very, like impressive picture when you come here, especially when you have a lot of people, and there are a lot of people who are left who cannot move in a proper way, so they have to be sort of halt. So a lot of people who just dedicate their life to saving those people. They bring like taking people from one side of the river to another side of the river, like on I don't know, how do you call these things, like when you bring people, like when you lie.
They help carry them across, like stretchers kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, that's the word.
Well, so the bridges that are on your Instagram that aren't technically in Kyiv, they're on the outskirts, which is trying to keep the fighting at bay, which was the strategic reason for blowing those bridges up.
Yeah, but these are not those 5 bridges that are across the Dnipro River. These are bridges from like we have other rivers here for sure. There's the smaller ones. Just for you to understand, like Dnipro, this river is about 2 kilometers wide in this area, in Kyiv area. So to blow up such a bridge, that's a I mean, that's a big thing. So we have like 5 bridges which are 2 kilometers like long. Yeah. So well, maybe at some point, if it gets too hot, which I doubt. Well, I am not doubting about being hot, but I doubt that they will blow up those bridges, those 5 bridges. I think they will be fighting for them. Maybe they will sort of hurt them a bit, like, but blowing such a bridge, it's a big deal. I mean, that's not so easy. I mean, that's a huge construction.
No, so give me a sense of what you were feeling before this started, and then after the escalation started to happen, and what you've seen so far on the ground.
Just before the war started, like all the Western media, they started to yell, like they've been yelling starting with, I think, late December or something like that. They started to yell like, there's going to be a war, there's going to be a war. And I started working on the 12th of January. Why I remember this day? Just because I have a birthday on 12th of January. And but I didn't celebrate it just because that was the first day of my trip, like with also like Danish and another, but Danish crew. And like for 2 months before it all started in February, well, oh no, not 2 months, it's 1 month. Yeah, a bit more than a month. We've been traveling all around the front line in DPR along LPR and DPR, which is like Lugansk People's Republic and Donetsk People's Republic. These are the parts that were cut off from Ukraine. We call them like separate.
The annexed parts.
Yeah, next to something like that. And we were talking with lots of people all around the border, which live very close to the front line. We interviewed like tons of people in Mariupol, which is the biggest city over there, which is pretty close to the front line. And I had maybe from like 50 different people, I had maybe only 2 people who said, yeah, it's gonna come, or something like that. Everybody else didn't have an idea. They couldn't like believe that Putin, after he was actually repeating one and the same thing, that we are brothers and we've had like history together, we shouldn't forget about that, that he would find some sort of an excuse how to start this. I mean, nobody could understand how he's going to represent this to his own people, because like starting a war is one thing, but I mean, explaining that to your country, like to your people, that you are going to kill some of their brothers, like actual ones, that's another thing. That's very difficult to explain to Europeans and Americans, just because, you know, for you, like your country is your country, like Canada is Canada, America is America, Mexico is Mexico, and stuff. With us, like we still have lots of generations who used to be a part of USSR, Soviet Union, yeah, and we still remember that we were like one country, one in the same country, and those borders that we now have, they were, even after in 1991 when we fell apart, I mean, they were, well, we had like customs over there and stuff like that, but we never cared. Like you could go with your Ukrainian passport to Russia, Russians could come here and stuff. I mean, it was always like that. And
the cultures were very melded. Like when we were there, we had so many experiences. You know, people we were interviewing and the places you took us and things like that. The culture is very, very integrated. And the places we visited, you could still see the yesteryear of the USSR and things. So it is, there's like, having been there now, it's interesting. I wouldn't have known that the cultures were so integrated. I mean, you assume that because everybody thinks, oh, Ukraine, oh, is a part of Russia, but there is a clear and distinct cultural difference, and everybody that I met while I was there is very proud of their Ukrainian culture and the beauty that they represent within their cities and their people, and again their culture. So just that's an outsider's perspective, but it is clear and distinct from Russian culture, even though there's so much overlap.
May I explain to you a bit, our like viewers, about myself? Like I was born in the eastern Ukraine. So I was born like, I mean, maybe like 100 kilometers away from Russian border. And you need to understand, like if you live too close to some country, like you will be trading with them, you will be communicating with them. And if you have like relatives over there, so you will be traveling back and forth and stuff like that. That's integration is imminent, but yeah. And just one episode, it's not like I think like this right now, but in 2014 with my first client, her name was Laura, we went to Lugansk, and at some point there were no like fighting, like I mean shooting and stuff. It was just the beginning when they had like masks, like they were scaring people. Yeah, they got the police station, but it was not super like gory. It was like easy stuff, like some, I don't know, riot or something like that. And at some point, this Laura, she started to ask everybody like, who do you feel you are, like Russian or Ukrainian? And we heard like so many answers. Like some people started to say, well, I trade with Russia, so that is why my family like have money just because of Russia and stuff. Another said something else and something. And then at some point she turned to me and asked me, like, who do you feel you are? Like if she could ask me like right now, I have the straight answer for sure. But those days I was like, whoa, I mean, my father is Russian. My mother is Belarusian. I was born in Ukraine, but I was born in Donbass. I have Ukrainian passport, but just imagine mixture of everything. And the only answer that I could find was that I told her, you know, when we have like World Cup competition or Olympic Games or something like this, and Russian teams plays with some other, with Americans as an example, and they're winning as an example, yeah, we always say our team is winning, we are winning, or something like it. Used to be like this, like when we spoke about Russians, we spoke like we are our, we were sort of saying as if we are Russians. Now it's not like that, for sure. But those days, like for me, that's a huge tragedy. I have become, I mean, for me personally, just because my parents are still living in LPR, which is Lugansk People's Republic, and you understand that they are, in times of war, the main problem with civilians is actually that they are being put into an informational bubble, like both sides actually, because when you're fighting, of course, you are over exaggerating like your achievements, and you are sort of not talking a lot about achievements of your enemy and stuff. And surely they are living now under Russian like dome, like bubble, yeah. And for me now, when Putin, together with his army, he came here, and well, he claims that he is shooting only in military bases, military objects and stuff, but we have lots of cases when people who are today we like visited like 2 locations. The first location was like a metro station, Lukyanivska, and we had like 2 interviews with a guy who is selling flowers, and some other guy who was the security guy in a shopping mall.
Wow.
Like, it goes without saying, there are no militaries over there. It's just like, it could be accidental, for sure. I mean, a war is a war, like sometimes it happens. But I mean, and then we went to another location where, and there at like an artillery piece came to a living building, like a 16-story building, and there are only civilians over there, all around there. Like, that's a living block. Right. I mean, there are no like military bases, nothing. So, and you never know who shoots. I mean, you cannot say for sure that this is him, this is he. And I understand that Russians will present this as if like Ukrainians were shooting at themselves. Right. Like, and for sure, Ukrainians will be telling this, like that was all about Putin and stuff. And that's what poisoning like minds of both sides. And the main thing for civilians, to my personal opinion, is not to lose each other, especially if you have relatives on the other side. I prohibited my parents to speak with me about politics. I told them that as soon as you start talking to me about politics, my connection will be so bad that, I mean, it will be ruined. I mean, telephone connection. I'm just dropping off, just because I understand every time we start to talk, it seems that I am talking to a Russian TV set. Right. You know, all the words, everything is going, and that's so hard. You can't imagine how hard it is when you just imagine you are Letitia heading, yeah, and you start to say something that is totally against the truth that I'm witnessing. Like, and let's say you are my wife, just it could be, yeah, at some point, yeah, when I'm your husband. And so I saw so many stories within this 8 years, how families were ruined, how like brothers and sisters are not talking anymore, like fathers and sons or daughters are not talking anymore. And now I can see that in my family something like this is happening. And I was like, oh, whoa, let's stop, let's just cut it off. That's the biggest problem, because and surely I wish that everybody, at least from civilians, stay alive. I wish that.
Well, I was going to say, here in America, we have a little taste of that. You might have, maybe checked in on the news, since 2016 and the election that happened, and the huge political divide. So certainly that's easy to draw upon from personal experience, because people don't want, I feel like people don't really want to hear each other's point of view. It's sort of like you have your point of view and you stick to it. But in this case, I think, what you were explaining and what part of our video series about when we were over there was the disinformation and misinformation campaigns that Russia puts out to not only Ukraine, but also Georgia, to the surrounding countries, that it would ultimately like to have, back in its grips. And so I think it is there's a lot of parallels that are happening here. But when you were telling me about that discussion you had with your parents, and how you said, listen, let's just not talk about this, and how they believe that what some of the disinformation that's being put in these campaigns and what's being put on the news and the media that's being restricted and put out is that there's Nazis. There's Ukraine is full of Nazis who are actually shooting at their own people. And this is a real thing that they're being told.
And Putin is here to save us from those Nazis.
Right. He's here to save us. So there is, it's dangerous. It's a very dangerous thing to think about, because they're only allowed to watch certain things. It's very, very restricted there, as we know. I'm sure even more, but you have this firsthand account with your parents who, they don't believe that anything good is coming from this. They're not really behind Ukraine. Is that correct? Like they're behind Russia in this.
Well, it's not like they're supporting violence or something. No, it's not like that. But, the tricky part is that I don't know how it works. I think Russians are very nice in that. But, they know their people and they know how to sort of manipulate and stuff. But, of course, every person, if you tell him like you are being manipulated, none of us would say, no, it's you who is wrong. Yeah, it's easier to say, like, it's what I told to my dad and to my stepmother. Yeah, that's stepmother, I guess. That once in a while, as I work in this kind of informational area, once in a while, I'm asking myself one and the same question. Could it be that I'm being propaganded? Could it be that I'm behind the wrong side, with the wrong side? And with this question, I'm asking myself, when I ask myself, I need to find answers. Like if I have doubts in some answers that I have here and stuff, that makes me think at least about the information that I have. But when I told my dad, you should ask yourself this kind of questions, because I cannot grab you out of that. This is impossible, just because I was talking to my stepmother on it was 23rd of February, and I was telling her, look, I work in this area where we communicate with BBC guys, with CNN guys, and BBC is in a straight communication with British intelligence, CNN in a straight communication with American intelligence. So, and it's not like rumors that I hear on Ukrainian TV or somewhere else. It's like information from inside, yeah, and everything is saying that it's gonna be war. And she is like, whoa, you got crazy over there with all those Ukrainians. Are you nuts? Like, Putin will never do this. He just wants to protect us. That is why he signed that paper that he wants to be our protector and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, but why didn't he do that within this 8 years? If he is a protector and stuff, why? And every time you catch a person with a question that they never heard on TV, so they don't have answer because the TV didn't tell them the answer. They start to yell at you, even if it's your relative or something. So she started to yell at me. but I understand that it's like you have to be calm in order to win, let's say. But there is no winner in here. That's the thing. Even if I win, I lose just because my stepmother is angry with me and stuff. So that's as I said, like that's a tragedy for me. And I was like, okay, but what would you say if they really start a war? And she's like, well, no, are you nuts? No. And she was yelling and yelling, like
contemplate that was actually going to happen.
Yeah. And then I was like, but okay, but what would you say if it happens? And she's like, well, I would say they're bastards, like bastards that use us and stuff like that. And next morning, so she just said that, and I was like, okay, good night, blah, blah, blah. Next morning, 6:30, they call me with my dad and tell me, are you still sleeping? And I'm like, yeah, because you have already been invaded or something like this. Not invaded, you have already been capped or something like that. The word is
captive.
Captive, yeah, or something like that. And I was like, but you promised me they will never come here. And they're like, no, but that's not a war, that's a military operation. And I'm like, how can you argue with the persons who always like switch meanings of words and stuff? I mean, they've been living in conditions like this, like for 8 years. They know what war is actually over there. Right. And still now when it's turning upside down and Putin does like out of no, he did the same thing that happened to Donbass, to the whole Ukraine. At least he's trying to do this.
Right.
I mean, and
do you think that that's for mental preservation though? Because if they actually could see the downfall of what Putin's trying to do, that they would become scared and frightened. So do you think it's a defense mechanism in any?
I think that's a culture. I think that's a culture, you know. I mean, Russian culture is more about fear. I mean, and that's why they have such a leader for 20 years, just because of the fear. I mean, well, Putin is a very influential guy for sure. I mean, but they just, I don't know, they just let everything go, like all the thoughts, like, no, just a sec, my English is coming to its end.
It's getting late.
The thing is, you see, they've been manipulated in a rough way. It's not like a super cool that he's just too foxy and he made you believe in something. No, he just starts to beat you, to arrest you. And I mean, it's not only this that he uses, but every time you pronounce something that he doesn't want you to pronounce, you are being sort of suppressed in a physical way. And even seeing this, they just don't want to believe that he is lying. I mean, that's so, I mean, why would he do that if he actually cared about people, like about their opinions and stuff? Why would they? But every time you ask again, it's again, like every time you ask some question they don't have answer to, they start to yell at you. It's not like about like explaining, it's about yelling at you as if you're like an enemy, you are crazy, you got Nazi and stuff. Yeah, I look like Nazi. Some people say that I could be German for sure, but that's also like humor in my humor. Sorry, but it's not about that. I mean, one more thing that I heard from one of our military, from one of Russian military experts. He said like, if Putin was right, and we had so many Nazi in our country, what would happen if he gave all these people 40,000 AKs? I mean, during first 2 days of war, Zelensky gave only in Kyiv 40,000 AKs. Just imagine if those people were Nazi and they were not supporting Zelensky and stuff, they would rip him apart. But those people took those arms and went to kill Russians. Man, can't you a bit like make a puzzle, like, and understand who these people really are?
Right.
I mean, you are fighting ordinary civilians who are brave enough to take arms and go and fight. And we have lines of people to register themselves in territorial defense units. And you can't enter there so easily, even if you want to fight right now, we have a line, you have to wait.
Wow.
Just imagine how many people want to get there.
That's
and
because,
protect.
Right. They want to, and I've heard story after story of people are going to stand their ground and they're not going to leave, and how important that is. But just to button up what you just said, I mean, that has got to be so difficult to have, with the turbulence within your own family, while you're going through this. But you do have the world in support. So I'm hoping that feels good to the Ukrainian people and to you, because the world is in support of Ukraine. And yeah. I know it, not as probably to the degree that not only the president and the people would like, but those of us that feel like our hands are tied a little bit, like what do you do? Which I do have some ways at the end of this that I'm gonna share that people can, it's small ways that people can help. There are things that can be done outside of the major, let's send you some artillery and troops, and that's a whole other political sphere, which we'll have another one of these discussions. But really, I want people to understand what you are going through and what you've experienced. So can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing? Like, you're out from 8 to 8, you have a curfew at 8 p.m. you have to come in Kyiv, but you've been out.
Now it's from 8 till 7.
Oh, okay.
They've changed a bit. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's only with just in the last couple of days then.
Yeah. One day, I guess, or something. Yeah.
Wow. But just give me an idea of what the stories you've been capturing out there, and that of your fellow news comrades that you're working with, because the other day you sent me a video that was pretty horrific, and I don't want to make this all doom and gloom, but I do think it's really important for people to understand that this is real and things are happening out there that are really difficult to see. And if you have news on a lot, which I try not to do that, but I try and keep up with things, but you're seeing a lot, probably the worst of the worst. But I also think that some of it's being we're not seeing the whole picture when we watch mainstream news, right? So that's why I think it's important to talk to people like you that are on the front lines, and you're seeing good stories too. You're seeing people helping each other. So that first day when the war started and everybody started to witness this, people were in tunnels, they were with their kids and their animals, and you were down there filming and interviewing people and for your own safety. Tell me what that was like when this first happened. And you corrected me, like you weren't being bombed, but it was missiles that were being sent locally, that were being shot. Is that correct?
Yeah. Can I tell you one small episode? I was once in Egypt, and we went to diving. And of course, underwater, you cannot talk. So we have gestures in order to use them, like what to do, and he says to you, well, how are you feeling? And if you're feeling not that good, you're showing that good. If you go down, you show down. If you want to go up because of the pressure, you show go up and stuff. So he showed me quite a lot of stuff, and then at some point, I said, okay, but I have one more gesture. That means, you are scared. Yeah. The thing is, when it all started, it was pretty scary, just because nobody understood, even though our government, together with our Ukrainian army, they were prepared. They were also preparing for the invasion and stuff. But still, you never know what Putin has in his sleeve. Yeah, and you don't know how they act, how they attack and stuff like that. That's war, actually, and such a huge machine is coming. And even though theoretically they understand what they were doing, and just for you to understand, even people who were very experienced in covering like stories like this, like military stories. They left Kyiv during the second day of war. And I stayed here. It's not like I want to say that I'm super brave or something like this. No, first of all, this is my home. Like that's where I've been living since 2011. That's one thing. And I also thought that I belong here now. I mean, it's not that hot. I can always find a way to get out in case it's totally like massacre or something like this. It's not like I'm sure, but still, I can use that. In first days, it was super scary just because nobody knew. Just for you to understand, I was sleeping. I have a bed in my hotel, yeah, and I was sleeping in between bed and a wall, like on the floor, because everybody was saying about dropping bombs, bombarding, and stuff. We didn't know that anti-aircraft like defense is on such a level in here in Kiev. They haven't let almost nothing to come in. Yeah, we have like incidents, yeah, sure, but they are super small compared to what happened to Kharkiv or Mariupol. Over there, like streets are just flattened, like, and but in here, like surely we have like explosions or some rockets fell down when they hit and stuff, but it's not so scary as over there. It's not like they're not hitting the actual targets. It's just they're all hit down, and after I think it was like a fifth day or maybe sixth day, after 5 or 6 days, the tension started to decrease. Yeah, because you are, first of all, you are getting used, and second of all, you have information, because now you're following the information. You see how it goes, like, and stuff like, so you sort of start to understand the drill. But you're living in a condition when you don't understand what is going to happen within next hour. That's a thing. I mean, that's an experience. I mean, that's a huge experience for everybody, I think, here. But again, I think that I was blessed just because I was surrounded by the most experienced people who I could actually get from all over the world in one place, in my hotel. There were like CNN guys, BBC guys, ABC guys, like also, well, that's not a super intelligence, but still we had like calls from Danish intelligence every day, like everyday direct calls and stuff. And I could understand that being without these people, like it could have been much more
isolated.
unsafe.
Yeah, and also very isolated too. I think if you were, if you were by yourself as just a singular crew, that would be different. But now you have the information sharing, and you're getting it from all parts of the world, so you're stronger together, which is a blessing. But I know you've seen some horrific things. I know that your teams have, seen a lot of things. I want to go to what you told me the other day, the corridors that are set up. They've set up these corridors so that civilians can, that when they're leaving, they're trying to get out, they have a safe place to walk. So essentially these corridors are off limits, but much like what's happening with the press, who's being targeted, it's a free for all, really. You don't know if you're going to walk down that corridor, whether you're going to be safe. And the video that your colleague shot the other day was a family that all four were hit, and 2 children, and they died. And their dog was the only, the only one that survived. And all you hear in the background is this shrieking from the dog. And it's horrific. So give us a sense of like that, what's happening, and how you've been able to cope with that, and how you've been able to help people along the way. I know you're on the news side of things, but no doubt with not only your humor, but you're out there, you're helping people, you're sharing that information that you're getting, from your colleagues and whatnot. So, I'd like to just talk about that a little bit, because I think it gives people a real perspective.
when you see pictures like this on TV or something, it always feels that, well, it's something, somewhere there.
Far away, very far away.
Yeah, very far away. It will never come to you. No, it's like what was that country that they bombarded for ages, Syria? Yeah, Syria. Where is it? Like, have you ever been to Syria? It's like some movie about Syria or something. It's not been happening. No. But when it happens like right behind your door, and you witness it, okay, maybe you're not witnessing the actual event, let's say, yeah, but you see people after, you see this grief, you see this suffering and stuff like that. I mean, that's so exhausting, I would say. At some point, I mean, this is very difficult, and you can't, in ordinary time, when people are getting aggressive, and people, just imagine when they are in a grief. Today we were in a this building which was hit, and they had fire over there, so they lost their apartments and stuff, and we need to cover that somehow. We come there and we ask them for an interview, and surely most of them, they start to be like, I'm gonna kick your ass and stuff like that. And in normal time, I would be pretty much the same. If somebody is aggressive, I am being aggressive in response. But in here, you have to be in such a control. You have not respond in a way. You have to calm them down. You have to support them. You have to show empathy. You have, and that squeezes so much power from you. I mean, by the end of the day, you are like a lemon. It's very difficult. But for me, I think it started in 2000. Was it 14? Yeah, after this MH17 Malaysian aircraft that was shot down. That was a picture once in a lifetime, as I said before. Yeah, but when I was going there, the first thing that I saw, I was actually a kid like this was lying on the right near the road, as if it was a doll or something. And after I saw that kid, and surely it was it. Yeah, I think it was it, because it was like this. It was, I don't know, it was he.
So these were parts of the plane that had exploded and fallen.
The
Malaysian flight that
and the kid looks as if nothing happened to him. I mean, he was in one piece, everything, but 10,000 meters. So he died somewhere there, I guess, just because of the pressure and stuff. But I mean, I understood where I'm going. And at some point I was like, okay. How should I sort of cheat my subconscious, just because it's pretty difficult to avoid those pictures if you are surrounded by those pictures. Yeah. And I am a gamer in my previous life. So at some point I decided that I will look at everything as if I am sort of, looking at the screen. It's much easier. But nevertheless, it records to your subconscious. It records, and that's why I understand why military people, they have to be treated afterwards in a proper way in order to sort of be adopted to a social life and stuff, because this gives you a huge impact on your brain. Like you're becoming
post-traumatic stress syndrome.
That's one of the
terms that's used the most.
Even though you don't feel it, you don't understand that it could seem that, well, it's like, okay, well, somebody died, okay, like everybody dies every day. What? I mean, you can ease yourself with thoughts like this, but nevertheless, I mean, it's your eyes that see this, it's your brain that understands this, and it records in your subconscious, and at some point it goes like. Yeah, so you have to be very careful with pictures like this. I mean, unless you are a maniac. I mean, I'm not. I found out that I'm not. I'm very that actually these whole things they melted my heart. I was pretty solid. Like everybody was saying I'm a cyborg, because I was like, it's not like I don't care, but I never showed my emotions. But now I can cry. I found out that I can cry, and I can cry because of of songs, of meetings, of meeting you. Yeah, I can cry because of that. And
You're a
yeah,
softie. You're a softie.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
remember you cried during our trip. We all cried because we had so many shared moments. I mean, we really, really did. But yeah, I think you're right. And you know, I can't, you know, this is why I'm so grateful that you're doing this interview to share with people, because I really feel like it's important to have a touchstone to someone that they know, whether they know them firsthand or secondhand, to hear what's going on from a perspective other than the news. I think it's really, really important. And
Do I have a sad look? No.
I see a tear. Speaking of tears, so a lot of people, you know, have a really soft spot, including myself, for people with pets, people with animals. What are you, do you know much about that? Have you done any stories about that with people leaving, and, you know, what are they doing? How are they making it work when you're leaving with just maybe a backpack or maybe just your passport or some money and your dog on a leash, and you can't take food, you can't, you know, take much. So how are these people surviving? What's going on? Because, you know, I think many people, many millions of people are really concerned, not only for the people of Ukraine, but also the animals of Ukraine.
You know, I heard the story during this war that some guy, he left his python. He was taking care of a python, and he left it just on the street just because he understood that he can't take him with him.
Right.
That's a very sad story to my mind. But what I witnessed, as I said, like I've already mentioned those areas like Bucha, Irpin, and Gostomel. That's pretty much one and the same area. It's one part of it could be one part of, but these are small cities, like very close to each other. And the thing is, there's a bridge over there. Sorry, yeah, there's a bridge over there where people come through. It was like blasted, yeah, and now they have to sort of get over the river and stuff. And they have a special guy who is taking care of dogs, cats, like pets, and he goes in case like the owner, they can't get their pet just because it's too hot. So he's risking his life. He goes to an apartment over there inside the city and rescues those dogs and stuff. Actually, if you are interested in the guy, I can organize a meeting with him, because I don't know. I'm not into the topic because I'm focused more on people. But to my eye, I mean, when I was at that bridge, I could see that every third person was holding their pet on their hands, like they were like going like this with their dogs and cats and stuff like that. That was also very, you know, touchy.
Yeah.
It's super cool to see how people, I mean, even though they are in a situation like this, they're risking their lives, but they're taking their like 60-kilogram like dog together. And this dog, I mean, when we were coming back from that bridge, we went there with an ambulance, and we were coming back with an ambulance as well. And we were in the same ambulance where it was a family together with a dog. You should have seen those eyes of a dog. It was so scared. I mean, I could see it was like, you know, it was hugging her like owner, this the girl. It was like hugging and like shivering and stuff. And I was like touched by this. We were not covering like animal those days, but if we did, like that would be a super picture. You could have like seen that. That was
I mean, I see so many images, and it's hard to keep it together, I'll be honest. Yeah. But the animals, I think, is a very, very relatable. People with children, you know, just trying to focus on children, and some people have to leave their animals behind, and that's the saddest story. So it's great to hear that I know that there's rescues that are going in, nonprofits, there's companies that are organizing, you know, things like that. So it's good to hear about that. And yes, I'd love to talk to your friend that's organizing the rescue, because I think that would be a very unique story to hear. And
yeah, I'm sure there are stories when people leave their pets. I'm sure, but this is not what I witnessed. Right. I saw that people were actually taking care is it like an extra sound, some extra sound? I don't know.
Oh, I hear something.
Can you hear something as well?
Is it on your end or my end? I don't hear anything.
I don't know. Okay, let it go. Maybe my ears, just like my English, are coming to its end.
Well, it's getting late there, and you're out for 11,
No,
12 hours.
I'm okay. I'm okay. We can. Oh, I don't know. Do you have any more questions? Because I can talk about this for ages.
Yeah, I could talk and talk and talk, and I think like if we should do this again, and maybe ask people if they have questions, because I have tons of questions, but I wanted to keep this fairly organic, and I did want to ask you though, with where do you think this is going to end up? What do you think is going to happen? Let's start there, and then I have a couple other questions, and we'll wrap it up.
Well, I think the active part will end pretty soon. I mean, the active part, like attacking and stuff like that, just because of those sanctions. War is a very expensive thing. And with all the space that Putin used before, I mean, it costs him a lot. Every day it costs him a lot. And with all these sanctions that the US gave him, like Euro Union and stuff, I mean, he is now isolated economically and stuff. I mean, it will be very hard. And day by day, people will start understanding in what kind of situation they are. I mean, Russian people.
Right.
So he will have quite a lot of problems back home over there. So he will have to sort of think now where he should go. I mean, he needs to do something else, I guess. So active part will be over, I guess. But I mean, I believe, at least from what I hear in my circles, like the journalist circles, everybody believes that it's gonna be a long-lasting thing. I mean, it will be frozen sort of, but they will be sort of holding positions here and there, just in order not to give us opportunity to I don't know, to build our state,
Right.
or something like that, not to be a part of NATO, not to be, I mean, if we are in ruins,
Right.
that's gonna be always like a problem when we're talking about NATO or any other, or Euro Union or something. I mean, nobody wants like a neighbor like this. I guess so.
That's why they're going to keep their strongholds where they have already sort of invaded, and keep them, even though they might not make it. Are you getting a sense that they will get to Kyiv at some point, or no? At this point, after 20 days, that's declining? Maybe at the beginning, people thought, the takeover may happen, and if so, it's to get in there and take over the government and throw up some sham of a government for Russia. But now that it's been, 20 days, do you, this is just you, I'm asking you personally.
Yeah, my personal like perception. Well, I don't have a feeling that they can get Kiev, because I can see how it goes. I mean, they don't have enough sources for that, at least from what I see, from what I hear, from what I like serve. Even Russian, I serve even Russian sources, and I can see that they slightly, smoothly starting to understand that we were too strong for them. I mean, they didn't expect we will be so strong. They didn't do that. I mean, that's a big problem for them, just because if they prepared it in the proper way, maybe it could happen within 3 days as Putin planned or something like that. But now, after it has been lasting for 20 days, and he has lost so many, like everything, and also like his economic. I mean, how is he going to, as again, like war is a very expensive thing, so you have to sort of pay for every shot, for every shell, for everything you have to pay. And it's not like people will make like for funding, or and I know that Putin is not supported by all the elites of Russian elites, because quite a lot of people lost a lot of money because of that. So even though he is super respected over there, but how long he can survive with all this ordinary lies. By the way, speaking about lies, so one thing that I wanted to ask, I mean, when they are saying this, I'm asking myself one and the same question all the time. Is it like they're doing this deliberately, like propaganda? Or are they really believing in what they're saying? Could it be that they're really believing that world is like this, that what they're doing is the right thing? What I mean, it's
Russia,
not
you
like
mean?
Russians.
Yeah, Russia,
That, I mean,
Putin in particular. We don't
because
know. I mean, there's been hundreds and hundreds of articles and news pieces done about Putin and the state of his, mind and well-being. And I mean, I don't know. We can only surmise. You want to hope that the leader of a country as big as Russia truly has the best interests of his people, and that it's not just about power. But I mean, it's hard to arrive at any kind of rationality around that. And I think it's really awesome that you think like I need to question my own beliefs, because I don't know if it's the journalistic sense. You and I both work in media, and that's what we do. We're storytellers, so you have to look at both sides and and come to an unbiased view and tell a story. You try to, if that's if you're doing documentary.
It's very difficult, especially when you are in a situation like I am. Yeah. Just because you have relatives there, you have friends here, you have like relatives on the third. You have also like wife in the US. You have like a wife in Russia.
How many wives do you have?
No, that's just a joke. Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, I think the main problem that's a psychological thing. It's not like it could be to any person in the world. You can't be in power for so long. You are becoming too far from reality. That's the thing. You are starting to believe that you are God or something like that, that you understand better than other people. You are not listening to your people anymore. You think that you know better what is needed. You think, and again, the word power is becoming like your passion. It's it's only the only thing that you live for. And that is why every time you listen to Russian sort of criticism about Zelensky, it could be identified that it's propaganda, just because they're always saying that Zelensky is holding his power. He wants his like voters, like supporters and stuff. And I understand that they think, what could it be if they were Zelensky? It's not about Zelensky, it's about what they think. So when they criticize him, it's actually about Mr. Putin. I mean, you have to listen to them and understand that that's what Putin thinks, because this information goes like directly, horizontally from him. Like, you have to push those buttons, because everybody who knows Zelensky at least a bit, they know that it's not about power for him. I mean, power is important for sure, but it's not the main thing. And if it were about power for him, he wouldn't act like this. Right. I mean, he would maybe run away just like Yanukovych or something like. I mean, he would play this game, but look at him.
So, so is that the general attitude of people, Ukrainian people, that Zelensky is really being a good leader, and that he is doing everything in his power to?
Well, it wasn't like this before. Okay. It wasn't like this before. Like 75% of people supported him during the elections, but then his rating went down just because everybody was saying that it was not about Zelensky, it was more about against Poroshenko. They wanted to get rid of Poroshenko. That is why they voted for Zelensky. And now most of the people are sort of disappointed just because they can't see the achievements and blah, blah, blah. Like, but that's one and the same thing all the time. But now when he showed his real iron balls, as we like to say, I think he will be super popular. I don't know. Again, I mean, this work, and even if it ends like tomorrow, I mean, you understand the consequences of what was happening, or what has been happening these 20 days. I mean, that will last for a long time now. We have to rebuild like several big cities. We have to sort of come back to the same level of economy and stuff. That there are a lot of things to do. I mean, and I think if we so associate like Zelensky with war, everything that will be rebuilt, like reviving of our state, it will be associated again with Zelensky. So we will be, I guess, we will be respecting and supporting him as far as this period will go, because he showed himself as a good leader, even though he might be not a good politician. I mean, compared to some super politicians, world politicians. But I'm guessing that even your president, in cases like this, wouldn't act like him.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Politics is not something I want to get into on this. It's really, I want to keep the focus on you. But yeah, that's definitely a sentiment that's thought of, I'm sure, by a lot of people. I'm curious, just really quickly, you were on the front lines with Poroshenko the other day, who was the president, Ukrainian president from 2014 to 19, I believe. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
20?
Yeah.
So before Zelensky, and so he has given, I don't know, I read he's given some equipment, 500 vests and et cetera, et cetera. So when you were covering that the other day, what is that, what's the general feeling on Poroshenko stepping in to make a stand? Or is that kind of like a publicity stunt, or is that for real?
It's pretty much the same as he always was. I mean, he does nice things, but the problem is, every time he does it, he makes a circus out of it. He makes like a huge performance, and even though he does something nice, I mean, it becomes blurry, you know, just because it's not about the thing he does, it's about presenting how he does it. I mean, even in simple like life, you don't, well, I don't want to use words like respect and stuff like that, because he was a big feature in our politics, and he has done quite a lot of stuff which were pretty nice. But the whole idea, I mean, about a person, I mean, you have this feeling that everything he does for his own benefit. Mm-hmm. Like even in times of war, even if he gives like this one, he wouldn't lose the opportunity to sort of PR himself, you know. That's the thing. And even though the thing was pretty nice, he took like 3 brigades, like, and he presented them with banderomobiles, yeah, the like military like automobiles together with like cannons and stuff, and some armored vehicles like these vests and something else. But everybody knows he's a billionaire. Like, this guy is a billionaire. I mean, he can do much more than this. But nevertheless, I mean, he does like. He does like this, but presents it like this, and that's right. What makes. I mean,
he's a typical politician.
Yeah. That's the politician that we all hate.
So a couple last questions. I know you need to get your rest, but are you worried? Do you get a sense of places that they've come in and taken over? And I'm specifically interested in Chernobyl, the fact that, you know, Chernobyl is it's still radiological. It's going to be for the next, you know, few hundred years. And, you know, it was so cool because you took Christy and myself there. So you are our tour guide. We shared this amazing, surreal experience. So having been to Chernobyl, I know that they told us, you know, don't get low to the ground, don't bend over. There's
too close to the ground. Yeah,
you'll turn green. I'm just kidding, but you know, it's
illuminated.
Yeah, and then as we were driving, you know, the exclusion zone, which is like 18 miles or I think 30 kilometers, if the math is right, is the area around Chernobyl that we had to go through checkpoints, right? So we get these dosimeters, and you have to get through these checkpoints, and your dosimeter has to be at a certain level. But I'm saying all this to give people an idea that, like, the closer you get to the center, which is where the meltdown was, the more your dosimeter starts to go off. And as you would tell us, and when we were at certain parts, even on the outskirts of the exclusion zone, like when trees fall, when something happens to the pavement or the roads, they don't come and excavate. They don't do like construction, because it will release too much of the bad stuff.
Radiation. Yeah.
The radiation is so intense. So to me, when I heard they took over Chernobyl and they have tanks and they're running amok in there, I'm thinking like, how much, radiation is being released, and are people there concerned, or are they just concerned about their everyday survival for right now?
Did you hear about them taking over Zaporizhia? Also, like the same plant, but in Zaporizhia. The thing is that it's like 6 times bigger than Chernobyl, and they were shooting with tanks over there.
Right.
And of course, after Chernobyl experience, so they have like much more security, like different kinds of gadgets, like and blah, blah. But still, I mean, they were shooting with like tanks at their power plant. Like, yeah. I mean, so you should care about that, because in case.
No, I do. I wondered like what you as Ukrainians feel, because that, that you weren't around. I mean, you were around for the first meltdown, but you were very young, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you were just a little guy. But just the aftermath of something like that, the Ukrainian people have already been through. So I would think on top of the stress of war and invasion, that they also are thinking about, the potential effects of having a nuclear plant taken over and not being treated with perhaps the respect that it deserves. Because,
well, you see, I don't know how other people, I can tell you my own thing. The thing is, when you live in an area where you have explosions every once in a while, when you have a siren every once in a while, when you are sort of slipping in between the like wall and the bed and stuff like that, when somebody tells you about Chernobyl, I mean, of course you care about that. I mean, with your brain you understand that, but I mean, it's also like as if it's some picture in the TV set. It feels
far away,
pretty far. I mean, far away. Yeah, of course, if it happens. Oh, by the way, today I visited like the biggest opened like grocery store in Kyiv. It's called Mega Market, and there were so many people over there. And at some point, we were standing in the line to pay for the stuff, and the guy who was standing next to me, he was so talkative. Like, a war is always making people better, I would say, better, just because they are so missing. They're missing the good attitude, and every time they meet like a person who is smiley in these difficult times, they start to and talk to you like. Even though I was not like in the mood like talking to him, but still, and the guy drew my attention to the fact that nobody wore a mask. Nobody.
Over.
yeah. COVID is over. That's, I mean, as soon as Chernobyl comes, I think the war will become not popular topic to discuss. I mean, everybody would be like, okay, they're shooting again and stuff like that, just because it will be bigger stuff. But now, for us, I mean, this whole thing that we are in, I mean, it's so big for us. I mean, that, and people in here, unlike like people from Donbass, they are not used to that. I mean, those people have been living in that thing for 8 years, so they are like, it's not like they don't care, but they got used to these sounds and stuff. Have you ever heard artillery close?
No, not in war. No, just in reenactment.
I mean, even without war, if you stand next to artillery and it shoots, I mean, you can feel the power. I mean, you can feel that you have zero chances. Like, I mean, and this, even the sound is so scary, so scary. It's like, and people in here, I mean, I've been learning to get used to these sounds for like 8 years, but still, I mean, if I hear artillery or tanks or something, I mean, it's like,
Right.
You don't want to think about Chernobyl these days. I mean, it's more like, oh man, look in the sky, maybe something is flying or something
Focus
like
on
that.
surviving war. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was my question, and that you answered it for sure there. But I think you have to probably compartmentalize, one thing. There's so much, and as you said a while ago, it's you're overloaded, and it's almost like the capacity of information and stress and danger you can take in. At some point, you just kind of, psychologically have to, to prioritize the fight or flight syndrome that you're in the minute. So yeah, no, I was just curious about that.
At some point, you start to make bad jokes, like black jokes. Just it's just the way you try to make your body survive, because you have to put some fun stuff inside of you. Otherwise, the stress will get you very deep. I mean, you have to sort of jump up and like that.
Force a laugh. Now, you said that there's the big market's open, but if you walk down the streets of Kyiv right now, like where
Empty.
Empty and closed, right?
Yep. Yeah. People, it's always like people know what grocery store works in their area. It's usually one store, and if you come in, I mean, well, I wouldn't say that's a disaster, but the options are like, you have like bread, you have like cheese, you have like, but it's not like you have 15 cheeses, you have like 100 cigarettes or something like that. No, you just take what they have. And it's but what's interesting part, I witnessed like episode. We have a great lack of bread right now. Like, not great lack, but it's well, not everybody is buying it just because they can't. It's not enough. Yeah, and at some point, like people got the bread and stuff, and there was a lady who came, or a couple of ladies who came there, and they were like, okay, we don't have enough bread, and the people who were standing in the line, they took two, and they gave them one loaf of bread, like, back. And like, it's like, yeah, it's a small thing, but again, I mean, when you see things like this in peaceful time, you wouldn't even notice this, I guess. But in these times, I mean, when you see like a dog on hands, like when you see this loaf of bread, like, okay, take mine and stuff. I mean, this whole thing's making us humane. So thank you, Mr. Putin. You make us humane. Black humor again, sorry.
No, it's good though. I mean, you're right. You have to, it's wonderful when you see the human coming out in people. And unfortunately, often it takes times of great stress, war, to bring people together. And, maybe if there's no other great takeaway, it's that we, and from the pandemic as well, that we don't take for granted reaching out to people that we love, and not taking for granted the little things that are every day, like having enough toilet paper or enough underpants, as you say, like, to get by every day, or having, enough bread to feed your family. So, but your perspective is invaluable, and I'm so grateful that you took the time, and I hope we can do this again.
Always a pleasure. I mean, again, I mean, these 8 years gave me a huge wisdom, I would say. I mean, at least not the wisdom everybody could get, not the experience everybody could get. So, and I can share whatever. I mean, whatever who needs. I mean, I don't know, because I can tell you stories, and all the stories look very important to me, but to me personally, just because I lived through them and stuff. In case people want to know something specific, I can answer for sure. It's easy for me, because I wouldn't want everybody to get the same experience that I have, because I understand that it's not for everyone, for sure. I mean, it's pretty stressful, and it's not everybody that can survive, not well, endure these kind of things. But I can share in case someone is interested.
Yeah, no, I think that would be great. I'll ask people for questions, but I also want to just let people know how they can find you. because you've got your Facebook account at Mr. Agency. So you've got your Facebook page.
Without dot, I guess. It's like at MR, then Fixer Agency with one word, like MR Fixer Agency.
No, I think I wrote that down wrong. And then your Instagram account is Mr. Fixer _ agency. Yeah, I'll put that when I figure out how to do all this and put it online and share it with the help of my husband, because I'm not that technical. I'll put this information, but I also wanted, because I've been listening to a lot of fellow media people and their stories, mainly not the mainstream stuff, but other ways that people can help. And there's a variety of ways that people can help, and you said just small things do go a long way. So one of the ways that people can help these days is Airbnb. You've maybe heard. Have you heard about this, Euge, yet?
Yeah, we heard that.
Yeah.
In peace times, it worked in here. Very popular in the capital.
So you can book an Airbnb and you can pay for it, but obviously you're not going to go there and use it. But it helps ingest money into people who aren't working. And as I understand, there's thousands, if not millions, of people not working right now. There's also you can hire Ukrainians through companies like Upwork, which is it's an American freelance company.
I know Upwork.
Yeah. Do you know any other agencies besides Upwork that people can hire Ukrainians right now? Or is that the main one?
Freelancer.com, like Fiber, I guess. There are a lot of freelance platforms that you could use. It all depends what you can. That's the thing, because like IT specialists are very popular on one platform, like videographers and stuff like that. I mean, on another one, you have to surf a bit and find it.
Right. So, but do some research. You can contact your local senator or congressman, of course. There's always that. And just share your story, share the video. Please refer people to Euge's social pages, because he's posting things most days, and he's got a very unique perspective. And as you can tell, he's funny as hell. And just simple ways. Yes, you are. Simple ways you can, say a prayer, light a candle. I've been lighting a candle every day. I have my blue purple flowers, my irises back here that have some yellow. And I wore my Ukrainian shirt, my shirt I bought in Ukraine, Euge, the one that you probably had to wait for me while I was.
It's called Vyshivanka.
Shivanka, okay.
Vyshivanka, you should work on that. Vyshivanka, correct.
I love it. I got my mom and I one, and I've got on my Ukrainian necklace, which I'm wearing as a bracelet.
That's called busi.
Busi?
Busi.
Busi. I gotta practice my Ukrainian. But anyway, I just want to say thanks again and stay safe. Lots of love, and if there's anything you want to add, please just. Am I doing that right? Yeah. Go ahead and comment once I get this posted, and we'll do it again, and we'll put it out to people and see if they have any questions.
Yeah, in case there's an interest, I'm always for. Otherwise, I'm always happy to meet you, to talk to you. It's always a pleasure. And if it happens, if it is to be, and they come to the US someday, be sure I will live at your place.
Absolutely. You will make it here for sure. We've talked about this plenty of times, but you'll definitely come over and stay for as long as you like.
Now, when my country is over.
Yeah, well, let's not.
No, actually, most of the experts. Could I add one more thing?
Of course.
Most of the experts, and what I hear from Russian experts, like not only political but like strategists, let's say, they say that Putin actually released like the national wave, like we are actually with this war, our national spirit like started to grow. So that's the beginning of Ukrainian real like state. Mm-hmm. And even though like Putin wanted to sort of like destroy it, he actually started it, just because our society was totally like split into parts. Like some people like supported Russia, some supported Poland, some supported like sovereignty, and I mean everybody was supporting sovereignty, but in their own way. And now with this war, everybody is like one body. So we have to thank Volodymyr Volodymyrovich.
Well, I'm glad to hear. I mean, that's when, again, in times of chaos and stress, people tend to bond together, and you have the support of the world. You know, that everybody's behind you.
We can feel that. We can feel that.
I haven't seen
the
anything to
feeling.
the contrary. Now, I mean, a few dissenting opinions, of course, but you know, we stand in unity with you, and we're sending all the best.
Yeah, about the support, one more sentence. You know, the problem is, I mean, we communicate mostly with simple people, and the most popular sentence that we hear from them when we ask for the interview or something like, close the sky, close the sky, close the sky. And I'm like, it's very difficult to explain to people. It's not about like us personally. I mean, we do our part, and if you help us to do our part with your interview, with your sharing, I mean, it could come at some point, like when we collect all this information and stuff. But I mean, that's why these opinions, they make the sort of understanding of all this support less significant. But thinking Ukrainians, and most of them are thinking, they really feel your support, like US support, like Union support. That's how it is.
Well, that's great. I mean, I think most of us, if not all people, want to do more. But you know, and you can't get lost in the, well, I don't have the power to send you missiles, but I can hire somebody if I'm doing a website that is maybe working from Ukraine, or the simple things you can do, they add up. Like, you know, the sharing of bread, you know, and
yeah, simple stuff. Yeah,
simple stuff. Small steps make a big difference. So
sure.
All right. Well, sleep well, and thank you.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to see you. Bye-bye. See you.
Yes. Much love.
Soon. See you soon.
See you soon. We'll chat again soon.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.